discuss with you today the lending process of homeownership from the very beginning to when you close and then what's next. All you need to know about the mortgage process. This idea of the American dream, which I truly believe the American dream and the biggest wealth creator in the United States is homeownership. I have many clients that I've done loans for, and I've done some myself, where you buy a home, you live in it a couple of years, the home appreciates, you sell it, you make a good profit. And as long as you've lived in it for 2 of the last 5 years as your primary residence, there's no tax consequence. So it's a great wealth builder. There are several benefits of owning a home. The other thing is, as you pay a mortgage down, your equity in the property, you put 20% down, which, by the way, you do not have to put 20% down to get a home loan. There are many programs out there that give you sometimes even a little bit more. There's loans for lower credit score. There's loans for higher loan to value is the amount of your loan divided by the sales price or the value, whichever is lower. So there are many advantages to owning a home. So equity, appreciation, it's not losing value typically. Now, there are times in history where home prices have come down, and that's just the economy. But typically, home ownership allows you to build equity. And then if you ever do sell it or not, you can make a profit. It also is a huge net worth builder. When you're first thinking about purchasing a home, my recommendation is that you seek out a qualified mortgage loan originator. And let me just start by saying that there are a lot of good ones around. There really are. I have a lot of friends that are loan officers, and while we are competitors, we help each other. We truly do. Life is about helping people. I'm at Movement Mortgage. We do a lot of help for a lot of different people, specifically building charter schools for young children in order to eliminate the poverty gap, teaching them financial literacy, etc., budgeting, all the things that you need to do in order to own a home, but also it's good knowledge for life. The first thing you need to do is get pre-approved. So seek out the loan officer. You may have a relationship with one. I would love to help you. And most loan lending officers are going to discuss the process with you, which I'm doing here today, but also I will send you a loan application link in order for you to apply. Now, we can do it online. We can do it by phone. We can do it in person. Whatever is most advantageous to the consumer is what we will do. Now, a lot of people think the mortgage process is a daunting task, even filling out the loan application. But I will tell you that most of these are smart applications that it walks through as you answer the questions, and it builds on itself. The thing that puts you at a disadvantage the most is not paying attention to detail and not completing that loan application completely. In other words, thinking that we don't need something like a side business or assets or something like that. I promise you that we are not trying to be intrusive. We are simply trying to get the loan from point A to point B with the expectations you have in mind, while also communicating with all the parties involved, simplifying the process. And I will tell you that process starts with the application, a full application. Typically it's 10 to 15 minutes, and most good loan officers will go through the application, and then they may have some questions and they'll call and update that information. Again, it's very important. I can't stress this enough. Pay attention to detail when completing the loan. So once you get through the application, which is going to ask income, assets, real estate owned, employment, it is very important to complete it, to your history of employment, any side businesses, etc. After submitting that application, most lenders will then reach out, or their team may reach out to obtain the financial documentation, meaning W-2s, tax returns, whatever is pertinent to your specific loan and your loan program. Now, every loan program has different criteria. Conventional may be different than FHA. Again, we are not being intrusive. We are simply trying to get a complete file so that the underwriter can provide an underwriting approval with as few conditions up front as possible so that the process is smooth and simple. Throughout this entire process, paying attention to detail is very important. After submitting the application, we'll reach back out for pertinent financial documentation. It is vitally important to return that documentation as soon as possible. Now, you're going to get a list typically of 8 to 10 things that most lending institutions are going to require that are set by Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, Ginnie Mae, FHA, all that. It is vitally important to get it back as soon as possible. And again, please pay attention to detail, meaning when we ask for a bank statement, the full bank statement, including the page that's blank. A lot of banks have statements and the last page is just blank or it's just correspondent, but they all say page 1 of 4 or page 1 of 5. We've got to have all 5 pages. Same thing with tax returns. It's all pages, all schedules. And that is where a lot of self-employed borrowers get frustrated, is because business returns aren't our business. But remember, going back to, we're not being intrusive, it is required by the Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and any other entities involved in the lending process. So those guidelines are those guidelines, and we have to maintain them. So we try to ask for as little as possible, but make sure that we have everything covered. We really strive to only come back to the consumer one time, and that's a conditional approval. And what I mean by that is the loan has gone to underwriting. We have asked for the documentation. All of it has been provided, including all pages, and then it goes straight to the underwriter. And an underwriter reviews it, even if you don't have a property, so that we are processing off of an underwriting condition sheet. We really like to strive to get only the things on that conditional approval that we're waiting on, like appraisal, title, homeowners insurance, etc. Speaking of homeowners insurance, is a requirement. Most are escrow, but just remember that you're not marrying that policy. Now, research, get the best policy for you with the best agent you feel is best for you and your family, but that can be changed at a future time. So it's important to seek out with whom you're going to write your insurance and let the lending institution know as quickly as possible. Once we obtain a true pre-approval, that's after all docs have been submitted, the underwriter has reviewed it. At Movement, our process is straightforward. We call it the 671. 6-hour upfront underwrite. That means an underwriter is going to touch your file and hopefully approve it if the loan officer has done their job in 6 business hours. And then it goes to processing. And the processor is just processing off of the condition sheet that the underwriter has provided. We call that a conditional approval and a condition sheet, or STIP sheet, some people call it. So in our process, the 7 stands for a 7-day process. So in other words, the processor has 7 days in order to get all those items on that list back to the underwriter. And then the 1 is for a 24-hour close. So once it's been submitted back, the processing, it goes back to the underwriter to sign off on those condition sheets. We really try to make sure that all those conditions are met at that time. If not, sometimes we have to request additional documentation, or if something has changed for whatever reason. 6-hour upfront underwrite, 7-day process, 1-day close. I can't stress enough that going back to that initial application and filling it out in detail or completing it in detail really sets the tone with how your loan's going to go. And a lot of lenders don't explain that. So it's important to give the whole picture fully and in detail. Give all the documents fully and in detail. And I promise you your process will be quick. Going back to taking one step back, the loan officer, when he gets an application, he will simply professionally evaluate what product, what down payment, etc., with the borrower's expectations in mind, and they will come up with the best estimate, the best product, confer with the client, they will select it, and then if there is a contract, they will do what we call an interest rate lock. Once that interest rate is locked, typically it's for 30 days. It can be extended, but there's a cost. You can lock for sometimes up to a year on new construction, but 30, 60, 90 are the standard lock timeframes. Now, the longer the lock, the more risk interest rates can move, the higher the rate's going to be. So just keep that in mind. As you get longer in the future, you're going to have more risk, so therefore the pricing will be higher. So selecting this product and interest rate based on consultation with your loan officer and with the borrower, I think now it is more important than ever. With rates going up a little bit, low inventory, with demand is there, but the inventory is down. So therefore houses across the United States, for sale or significantly down. So I think it's vital that you choose a lending team that, number one, you trust. Number two, will tell you the truth, good or bad. Number three, will tell you the bad immediately. And number four, do what they say they're going to do. Now, I'm always accessible. I'm very passionate about my work. I love helping people. And like I said earlier, there are a lot of great loan offers in this area, but my team and I have been in the business for 20 years. We funded over $1 billion in loan fundings. I was a partner in a successful mortgage company, and I've built, sold, closed many other businesses. And you need somebody with the passion and the experience that's going to do what they say they're going to do, and that is accessible. And I promise you, my commitment to my borrowers is I will work tirelessly to make their dream come true. We have been so blessed in this business, a business that I fell into kind of accidentally, but has been such a great career, and helping families, helping investors, but most importantly, helping people build wealth. It doesn't get much better than that. And that, of course, is from a business standpoint. Once you have conditional approval, the file goes back to the underwriter, and the underwriter will then clear it to close. During this entire process, the real estate agent is working on home inspections, pest inspections, any other inspections that are required, handling the logistics of closing, etc. So it's important to select a professional that also has your best interest at heart, that will do the right thing, that it's not about commissions, because at the end of the day, we're here to help people. Once you have that underwriting approval, conditional approval, and then that clear to close, that's when closing is set. And of course, at Movement Mortgage, we don't consider the closing date a suggestion. We try to make sure all our loans are done prior to, so that closing is less stressful, because the process of moving itself is stressful. So that's the broad, high-level idea of the lending process. It is vitally important to pay attention to detail and choose the right professions. The dream of home ownership is still alive, and there are still great deals out there. No matter the economy, no matter anything, people are always looking to buy and sell. If I can be of any assistance, please let me know.